motion wasn't about research, though. It was about the effect of digital communication on us as human beings.
Yeah. We happen to be researchers.
Fine, but you know. I'm just wondering how much interaction you think we need with other human beings from childhood on in order to develop a reasonable degree of empathy, and whether you think if we have less, we don't have enough.
Well,
Because
there are
you seem to have made
studies.
an assumption.
Well, no, there are studies that say in the first 2 years of life, that is the time when we learn there's very basic trust and empathy from the relationship with our parents. If that's missing in the first 2 years, it's quite difficult.
What makes you think it's missing?
Well, it isn't necessarily, but if kids, well, two things there. If kids are spending an inordinate amount of time on screen,
The first
in
2
some
years?
way.
You said 2 years. You just said 2 years.
Well, yeah. Or then it is going to affect their development. So it's going to affect it in two ways. One, that they don't have so much contact with humans around them. And secondly, their brains are getting sort of wired already.
So you're including television and video in the digital age?
Yeah. I mean, it's all balance, isn't it? It's getting a sort of... If you had a kid who sat in front of a telly for 8 hours a day,
But so is
logically...
evidence. So is evidence.
Okay, let me just bring other people in. Tracy, over there.
I suppose I would say, does it matter? Because my brain hasn't been changed by digital. I still research in the way that I was brought up to research. My kids' brains have been changed.
Yes.
As they grow up and become researchers, surely they will have the appropriate brains for the research at the time. Because I can see that my kids lack concentration, they lack empathy.
Yes.
But when they get their jobs in market research, there's no doubt they will, because that's what they're desperate to do. They will be the sort of researchers that the generation needs.
Yeah, I'm sure you're right, but I think it will mean that we probably won't be reflecting so much on things. It will be a different sort of, I suspect, rather superficial.
The old codgers who reflect, and they'll be going.
Well, yeah, but I'm reluctant to let go of that because to me that's really important. So
my dad was
Yeah.
reluctant to let go of.
I know.
Okay, let me bring Stephen in.
Yeah, are you saying, and this is a research question, that with face-to-face contact you can develop insight?
Yes, I'm not saying that you can't develop
with online research tools, it's proportional.
It's a different sort of interaction, isn't
But
it? And we have to
you're
be
relying
aware.
on face-to-face to develop insight, and if you were simply relying on online transcripts, for example,
Sorry, and
if you were
online.
simply relying on online transcripts,
Yeah.
you wouldn't be able to develop that kind of insight.
I think it's a scale. I think if you're relying on transcripts, you're not getting the full picture. I mean, then maybe that doesn't matter, you know. But I think it's being aware of what you're doing and aware of the limitations of what you're doing. And my concern is that if we move into an age where we avoid face-to-face, we think we're getting all of it. When we're not. If we're aware that, all research is limited in some way or another, provided we're aware of those limitations, I don't think that really matters too much. It's when we think that that's all there is, that's when I get concerned, I suppose.
Arthur, let me bring you in.
Yeah, hi.
Hi.
Arthur Fletcher. Just wanted to ask you about the slightly old-fashioned, perhaps, view that you should stay with your old-fashioned approaches to gathering information rather than using the interaction techniques that people now use.
You use what's appropriate for the task, in my view. So it depends what you're trying to find out. I think you just decide what you need to do to get the answers or to explore the areas that you need to.
But you seem to belittle the way in which people communicate these days through, Facebook and Twitter. But there is an enormous amount of information that people are interchanging there.
But
they
it
just
depends.
switched in the way they do it.
Yeah, no, they haven't just switched in the way they do it. They're doing something different. And that different might be relevant to us and it might be important. But to confuse face-to-face communication with communication on Twitter or LinkedIn or whatever, I think is dangerous. And I think that's one of the areas that particularly concern me. Because
Great.
how somebody communicates, how somebody communicates face to face is completely different than how they communicate on Facebook. Nothing wrong with Facebook, but it's different, and we have to acknowledge that. Yeah.
Okay, just to round up on a very real score.
Sorry. I've got very few friends because my 14-year-old cousin's daughter in America has got 500 friends on Facebook, and I'm considerably older than her, and I don't feel I've got 500 friends, and I wonder what I've been doing wrong. But I do. What? Thank you, Arthur. I'll take notes afterwards. Hopefully not face to face. But I then understand that she communicates with a lot of people, and it's quite rich communication with a whole bunch of people. And if I look back to when I did grow up in Glasgow at the age of like 16, I had some great face-to-face communication. It was like a group thing because we were doing drugs and it was fantastic, and we were all sitting around with a bong and having a fantastic time. So is that good for human skills and values? I would possibly suggest not.
No, I didn't know. It was about bonding and friendship and, sharing.
Be a bit more open about it and discover where the best dealer is worldwide rather than in Glasgow. But I guess my kind of point I'm trying to get to is that surely research should just reflect the communication channels that people are most comfortable communicating in.
Well, no, I do agree with that. I do agree with that.
So to force my 14-year-old cousin's daughter in America to sit down and have an in-depth discussion or a group discussion when she's really happy sharing all her emotions and her ideas and everything on Facebook, that sort of maybe points.
But that's horses for courses. I mean, that's what I was saying. I think that's obviously that's more appropriate than although, sometimes if you change the structure, get people out of their comfort zone. I mean, we do groups with kids with 14-year-olds, and you do get a different sort of focus, a different sort of perspective on it, and that's good too. So it's. I think it's awareness. The thing is being aware. It's being aware of what you do.
Given this is Burns night, and Robert Burns was very into opium, we'll pass some around that later.
I'll be queuing up.
Informed group discussion.
Okay, all right, thank you for that recommendation.